Okay. Oh, there you are, Linda. Good. I
Yeah.
like to talk to you.
We are having a
Everybody else,
conversation.
but I like to talk to you when I have a conversation, indeed.
Yeah. 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 So I'll just start with the title of our talk, is what develops in reflective meditation in terms of process. How how do things develop? How will they develop in our
Right. And we're just sort of making a discernment here between the process and the qualities that develop. We're not going to talk about the quality so much today, but we're going to talk about the process and actually about the diversity of how this
right,
process is for different of us.
right, right. And we'll have a short conversation first and then read some things from our book. And actually, we're going to start off reading something from our book. Is that
Yeah,
right?
that's right, Linda. You got
Okay, why don't you read it, Nell?
okay. So we don't know what will develop or how. That's we're talking about the how now today. How now
How
today.
now?
Brown cow, no, of how it will develop for you. We can't make any promises. The radical point here is that there is no set path of development. I'm going to read that sentence again. The radical point here is there's no set path of development. Radical, as in characterized by independence of or departure from tradition, innovative, or unorthodox. That is the dictionary definition of radical. Reflection, or a definition from the dictionary. Reflection makes it more possible and safer to stray from tradition while staying close to our teachings, which are conditionality and awareness, our core teachings, primary teachings.
It is a radical statement that there's no set path of development. And even, I would say, for reflective meditation practice, this is where we really align with diversity.
Uh-huh.
There are,
Right.
right?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Which is radical. I was at a Buddhist teachers day long yesterday in Portland, and one thing that came up was a conversation about how do we correct students, with kindness and whatever. And I was quiet and I thought, do I ever correct students? Do I know what is the correct thing for them to be doing? I don't think so.
Mhm.
I don't think
Mhm.
it's part of our path.
Right, right. I'm thinking even of the way we say, don't give advice and try to follow our own advice, not to give advice, or correct or corral or kind of lead somebody to a certain understanding.
Right. And I don't really, in terms of the how, I don't really know. So I couldn't correct it because I don't know the correct, there isn't a correct.
Mhm.
Anyway, that was an interesting.
It's interesting. It is interesting because that was a room full of serious Dharma teachers that
Yes.
all,
And there was that assumption that this is
yeah,
the process that we need to correct, but we need to find the right way to do this, the kind way, the,
right.
non-intrusive, whatever. I don't know what they were thinking exactly, but like I'm just like back to the like, do I think I ever correct? I don't think
Right.
so.
Right.
Anyway, seems related.
Well, maybe that's part of the innovation of this, of the approach we learned, of what has developed from learning that, of the way we've carried this. It's pretty unorthodox not to try to lead somebody to a certain Dharma understanding. And it's a little bit unorthodox to find the understanding in what the student is talking about in their
Right.
sittings.
Right. It is. It is indeed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So we're saying there's like we said, a diversity of ways this might develop for you. And for Linda and I, it developed in a way that won't happen probably for you because we did all these intensive teacher training retreats, like so many for so long. And that's how it developed for us. So it's different.
Right, right,
It's just
right,
different.
right. The other day in one of my groups, one of the women from Australia was talking about she doesn't even meditate anymore, but the reflective aspect is so present in her life. And whenever she does anything contemplative, she's reflecting afterwards, she's reflecting in her interactions, and she really attributes it to this practice, which has felt like it's integrated into her very being and the way she acts within the world. And she thanks us profusely for that.
Yeah, and I would say the same, that that reflection is integrated into much of my daily, what my mind does, basically what my mind does. Does other things too, I must admit. But I also still want to meditate.
Well, I think that's my experience is there might be time periods or like, chunks of times where I don't meditate as much or as regularly, but I miss that kind of draw to stillness, wanting just to not move my body, wanting to let things move internally. It's a real draw to go inward.
Yeah, and that's another thing that was implicit in what you just said, which is that you trust that draw.
Yeah, yeah. And it's always come back. Right now, it hasn't left me. Yeah.
Right. But rather than doing it because you should or something like that, it's a much more organic, I feel drawn to this.
Right.
And that's different. It's really different quality.
Well, I think also too, we're hearing from people that this daily online sitting has been a game changer for people's draw, so to speak, because the opportunity has been to meditate every day, and that really set something up that actually cultivated a stronger draw to stillness.
Right. And also, I've heard that, it was some people, it's just really hard to get themselves to meditate every day on their own. And then this daily online happened, and wow, they did it. And wow, they saw the benefits. And now, things have changed with the pandemic, and a lot of people who used to come each and every day are coming some days a week. Yeah. And that fits with the conditions.
Right. Well, we would like to read some of your words. Sangha is so important to us, and what you've said about how things will develop. We put a few of them in the book, so we'll read from them right now.
It could be your words, literally your words, because we don't know now, but it's you all's words. I like that Southern thing, y'all. It's from the larger Sangha, the various people we've worked with over time.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to be the student in this. We're going to do a little, a little drama here. I'm going to be the student, a little play, and Linda's going to be the teacher. Everything doesn't have a response from the teacher, but some of them do. The first one does not. What's developing for me is the reflection aspect, being able to look back on what came up and then look back on what brings it up. To feel not just acceptance, but a growing curiosity, occasionally a kindness, maybe even a tenderness towards this mysterious internal world. And that's life-changing. All right, the next one.
You're up again in the drama.
I'm up again, and then teacher's gonna have something to say to me. I'm less afraid of my mind. I'm not afraid to be alone with myself. Being in my own company has become mostly a safe place. When my mind goes to darker places, I tolerate it better. I ask myself questions about my experience in the same way that I have seen it modeled for me.
Being inward can sometimes feel insurmountable at first. Too scary to sit with the ghosts and goblins we sense are hiding in the closets of our consciousness. Though if they stick with it, most people discover why it's worth the effort. Discover that our inner life is not so scary and that it's full of all kinds of unexpected joys.
Some days I don't feel like I'm achieving anything from meditation, but slowly I'm building inner confidence from trusting and applying the Dharma. Building confidence in my inner voice as wisdom develops from experience and contemplation. Building inner confidence is important to my well-being because even though I might appear successful, I've often lacked steadfast confidence in my own agency when I feel overwhelmed by life's complexities.
Yes, indeed. Some days we can't perceive what is developing. I think the wisdom and confidence that develops slowly is more reliable and steadfast. Confidence is the Buddhist understanding of faith. Faith is considered an awakening, faculty that develops into a personal power.
I see the Dharma coming up in my sittings. I can recognize different concepts from my own experience when they arise. That used to be something that a teacher had to specifically point out how the Dharma was coming up.
Let's end with this one, Nelly, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We see that becoming more independent, less reliant on a teacher, as an important development. Becoming our own teacher while still taking refuge in the Dharma and the Sangha, the community of meditators and teachers.
All right.